favor?
My apologies.
We have to have a little fun here.
Friday morning.
Well, good evening, everybody. It appears that
Friday
the
morning.
perfunctory items might take longer than the meeting. So, that being said, I will read Article 2. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to 1. Approve continuing design, construction, and improvements to the sewer plant, including upgrades to pumps, a building and other upgrades, and all expenses reasonably related thereto, now called the project. Item 2, appropriate a sum not to exceed $1,203,000 for the costs of the project. Number 3, to extent that the grant monies become available to the town for the project, they are hereby appropriated for the project. And 4, to fund this appropriation, authorize the treasurer and chairman of the Board of Selectmen to issue at one time or from time to time general and/or revenue obligation securities of the town of Bethel, Maine, including temporary notes in anticipation of the sale thereof and refunding obligations in an aggregate principal not to exceed $1,203,000, and to delegate the treasurer and chairman of the Board of Selectmen the authority and the discretion to fix the date or dates, maturity or maturities, denomination or denominations, interest or interest rates, place or places of payment, call or calls for redemption, current or advanced, refunding or refundings, forms or forms, and other details of said securities, including execution and delivery of said securities against payment thereof, and to provide for the sale thereof and any other agreements and documentation required therefore. The financial statement that you see there, item 1, total town indebtedness, I believe as of today, bonds outstanding $669,311, and wastewater bonds $908,456,000. Bonds to be issued if this vote approves $1,203,000 for a total of $2,780,767. The costs for this process at an estimated interest rate of 3.125%, the estimated cost of the bond will be in 30 years, principal $1,203,000, interest $981,833 for a total of $2,181,833. The validity of the bond or the vote of ratification of the bond may not be affected by any errors in the above estimate. If the actual amount of the total debt service for the bond issue varies from the estimate, the ratification by the electors is nevertheless conclusive, and the validity of the bond issue is not affected by reason of the variance. David Holt, Bethel Town Treasurer. Could I have a motion? Thank you. Do I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any questions, discussion, or explanation on this article? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, my name is Rick Whitney, and I'd like to say that I'm kind of very concerned about this article. I think the wastewater treatment plant has been a fiasco over the last several years. We've done nothing but pour money into it, and our rates, we have some of the highest sewer rates in the state, and we continue to pour money into this. A year or so ago, we bought a machine that was supposed to, I guess, squeeze solids and take the water out of them to reduce our cost, but the payback period was told that it would come immediately or relatively immediately, and as I understand it, that machine sits idle most of the year because now we have some of this money is going to be used to build a building for that machine, which we should have been told a year ago when we were voting for that machine. And as I understand it also, the only way that can actually pay for itself is if it runs like 24 hours a day, 12 months a year, which is not going to happen because I guess it can't run unattended. So the most it can run, I guess, is 8 hours a day or something like that. So the time has come that we need to get the wastewater treatment plant in line and get them to figure out what they need. And this bond, as you can see on the back page, is going to cost nearly double what we allocated, $900,000 in interest. So I hope we can vote this down and the wastewater treatment plant can get its ducks in a row and come back with some good, solid plans on how to reduce cost. Because if they spent nearly as much time figuring out how they could get more money out of ratepayers rather than and spent that time reducing cost, that's what needs to be done. I know there's the old saying, taxation without representation. Well, part of this is representation without taxation, because it's not just the users that vote on these bonds, it's the entire town. So people that are off of the sewer system may be inclined to want to vote for this because it's in the best interest of the town to have an updated sewer plant. But it's the users that get stuck paying for this. And I am of the belief that 30 years ago, the town voted to fund the fixed cost of the sewer plant with general taxation dollars and the using part of it with user fees. And that makes sense because everybody benefits, the entire town benefits when there is the thing I'm thinking of is the hotel that was supposed to be built on the Parkway. That was going to generate millions of dollars in taxes, and the entire town would benefit from it. Well, the town voted to upgrade the sewer treatment plant far beyond what was necessary at the time. And it's time that the sewer treatment plant brought down the costs and got things in a row, and I hope we vote this down.
Thank you. Anything further? Yes, Dave.
Man,
You're
permission to
pleased.
speak.
Yeah, you're good.
Because I thought, because you were upset with me from before, you were going to make them vote again. I'm glad you came, Rick, because a lot of folks didn't. And that's the trouble with special town meetings. I wanted to apologize that we're having this now, but if we waited till June, which is the appropriate time to take up a big, important question like this, you'd lose another summer probably. We put this out to bid before I came to work for the town, and the contractor is still holding the price that they bid. And when I came here, I thought, I'm very smart. I'll be able to figure out how to do this better and reevaluate this and make recommendations to the board and save the day. Well, it's about all I've worried about since I was employed by the board, and I really don't have any better suggestions. Sewer stuff costs a lot, I know that. I know you have to keep it up. I don't have a better alternative. All sewer plants that I know about, the one in Norway, the one in Bethel, they all make sludge. And if you don't have a method of compacting your sludge, it's going to become increasingly difficult to get rid of it. Bethel has already bought the machine that maybe they should or maybe they shouldn't have bought, but now it sits down there unusable if you don't have a building to put it on. Now the building is necessary for more than just the composting machine. That there are some safety hazards down there and cover over the area that's rotted over, and it's kind of a complicated system that you end up with this as a solution. And the town has spent a fair amount of money on engineering, and they spent the money to go to bid, and they were very surprised when they went to bid and it came in a lot higher than they had anticipated. And my initial feeling was that, maybe if we just redesign this and go back out to bid, it will make more sense and we can save some money. But what they tell me, the folks I've been talking to around the state, is that the cost for these types of projects has gone up dramatically and continue to do so. So my fear is if you don't take the existing bid with a reputable contractor that you have and you redesign it, not only will the interest rates go up, but also the costs of the project. We met with an engineer today on a different project, and he told us that projects in the last couple of years have gone up about 30%. And when your project is $1 million project, you don't want to pay an extra 30% every year. So I just don't know what a better answer is, Rick. I'm very sympathetic to what you're saying. Part of the problem may be that Bethel has a fairly small number of ratepayers. And maybe the town should pay a bigger part of the debt. But of the cards that seem to have been dealt for this particular project at this particular time, I think, in disagreement with you, but respectfully, I don't know of a better alternative. I tried to find one, but was unsuccessful in doing so. I did ask around a lot to people I've known throughout the state that are involved with this, and it's just one of those deals where I feel a lot better if I could stand here before you and say, I'm really smart, I figured out something better. But it may be that I'm not as smart as I thought I was, because I couldn't find anything better. And my advice is that you should do this because it's only going to get worse. I think a lot of the things you said are legitimate criticisms. And I know the town is studying different billing alternatives. That in itself could be controversial, but that's one thing that probably should be looked at. It's probably unfair for a big multifamily house to pay the same rate as a guy in a single mobile home, you know. That should be looked at. And maybe the town should pay a role of some type. It still can at any time that the town votes to do that. I have spent a fair amount of time with the records, and I don't know as much about Bethel as you. I mean, I live in Norway, that's where I worked for a long time, but in the time that I spent with the records, I didn't see record of that vote being taken. It's probably there, Rick, I just didn't see it. I wish I could think of something say that would solve this better for the town and for you, but I don't know of anything else to say.
Thank you, David. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jean Benedict. I am a homeowner on Chapman Street, and so I am a sewer user, but I'm not a registered voter in Maine. So I have a question. It's not a position. I understand the project budget. Can I ask?
You're not a resident?
No, I'm a homeowner and I'm a resident, but I'm not a registered voter. Oh, I can't ask a question?
They can't, they just had a vote election.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We had to think about New England town meeting.
I'm sorry.
Just procedure, that's all. Can I have a motion to allow?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you.
Sorry.
Pick up where you left off.
Thank you. Okay, so the question I have is, I understand the project budget, but could you clarify the time frame? If this is approved, if the bond issue is approved, what is the time frame for proceeding and moving forward, and when will the project be completed? And if it's not approved, then what is the timing that you're looking at for reevaluating and possibly considering a new project proposal?
So if I'm not mistaken, that we would like to start construction as soon as the ground thaws in the spring,
And your time frame for completion would be?
before next winter.
So your intent would be to be done.
Right, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing this now and not, because we got board approval for this last June. And then by the time we went through the bidding process, it was later, and then it was more money than we thought, and we're like, oh, well, now what? And we couldn't proceed. And if we do that every June, it's gonna keep going like that.
Why was it more money?
The contractors, the rates went up,
Well,
almost doubled, based on the engineering. The engineer gave us, said this is what it's going to cost, and then the lowest bidder was substantially more.
if you remember, the economy nationwide got better, and so the cost of doing projects as a result went up. We had we're in a time of low unemployment, and everybody's working, so the cost for these projects, as a result, that's a good thing, but it tends to drive the cost of these projects up. Interest rates are rising, and I think if Bethel could have been bidding this out in, February as opposed to July, it would have made a lot more sense. And the other thing that Bethel did was, this was kind of a two-part project. One was to do a project on Vernon Street. I get my road names confused. So they completed the project on Vernon Street, but by so doing, they didn't have enough money left to do the plant project that had been part of it originally. So there's a bunch of reasons combined that made this something they couldn't go ahead with. This project has actually been planned for about 7 years. The first approval came out was, I think, 2011, I think, was the first vote to do this.
Hello, I'm Lucy Acid, I'm a voter. And it says in part 3, to the extent that grant monies become available, is there an effort to find for the grant monies, or is it too late? Or is there a sense that the government, the federal government is going to do more on infrastructure? Do we have some numbers to it or not?
The federal government had a totally different opinion of Bethel's debt than Rick does. And they said that because we didn't have enough debt, they took away our grant funding that they had promised. I'm trying to be funny. I think Bethel has plenty of debt, but according to them, unless I can convince them that they overlooked something, which I've given up hope on, sort of, we're not going to get any grant money through them. There is some available through the state of Maine, but you have to be careful because with theirs comes an awful lot of strings. And sometimes their strings end up costing more than just going ahead and getting it done.
Thank you. Anything further? Yes.
Hi, I'm Jewel Clark. I'm a Bethel resident and voter. What you just said about the federal government not seeing that Bethel has adequate enough debt to receive grant money, if you create more debt, do they really evaluate it later and decide you do have enough debt and then give you grant money?
Yeah, if you want to borrow some more money in a couple of years, they probably give you a grant.
But what about if you went into debt with this? What we're voting?
No, it doesn't work that way.
Yes.
Ellen Whitney from Bethel. I have a question. I'm not real knowledgeable about this, I admit it. But I understand we bought a machine to do the sludge thing. But somewhere along the way, I understand that apparently we bought that machine without the knowledge that we needed a building to build it. How come you didn't know that? Why did you recommend we buy a machine and then we approved it and then now we need a building to put it in? I mean, how come somebody didn't know that first?
I don't know the history of that. Those decisions were made.
It was before you, so I'm thinking somebody sitting up there might know that answer.
Rick, do you know? The superintendent who was in charge at the time.
Okay.
I thought you were a resident. Oh my God.
Sorry about that.
Would I make a motion to allow
Rick to speak.
I make a motion to allow Rick to speak.
Second? All in favor? There you go, Rick.
The building's always been, I don't know how, it's always part of the project. Because, you know, we have to have those running machine in the winter. Without that, that's why we're not.
I guess I just thought that was kind of a new thing that cropped
No,
up
no,
after.
the building's been-
No, the building's been there for a long time, and I think one of the things that's really important to understand about this, and I had the same experience as David. I went in and said, we can probably figure out a way to chop some of these things out and make this project a lot cheaper, and why do we need this building, and why does it have to be built to these specifications? And then I looked at the building, and I looked at the blueprints, and I realized that we're not just building a garage, or even a heated garage. This building takes over, for example, the blower building that's sitting on top of a rotting deck outside, where we run, and so there's lots and lots of plumbing that's getting put into this building, so that all that plumbing is now in a place where it's safe to operate our sewage treatment plant. Because right now, if you walk out on that deck, and you go to the blower building, it's pretty evident to anyone who does that our current sewage treatment plant is not safe. And it also, well, that's one of the things that drives us for me. So we're moving that blower building indoors, we're moving a lot of huge plumbing into that building so that it can run the dewaterer, so it can run the blower plant, so that all those things are out of the weather and where they belong in a building. But it's a very technical building. It is not just a heated garage only for the dewatering machine. It's like a reworking of the plumbing of that plant so that it's safer to operate and operates better in the winter, which is a big deal for us. We have to, and part of it is also some of the plumbing that's currently in that plant. As far as I understand it, the operators, you have to have two people to do any work on that plumbing because someone has to go down a manhole to do it. And so it's challenging and dangerous to go and work on the pipes and the pumps that are in the ground. So if we can rework that in a way that makes it safer for our employees, I think that's really important to understand. So in this project, it's not just we're building a garage with a dewaterer, we're also redoing the deck with concrete instead of rotting wood. We're putting the blower building in the building. We're moving the plumbing to where people can get to it and work on it in a much safer manner. And there's also a lot of just general maintenance in this project. New replacement of pumps that are ready to fail. And we know they're ready to fail. It's their time. And if they fail, it's really problematic. It means that we can't run the plant anymore. And if the plant, or we have to do it at the last minute, or we have to do it in a way that's not planned. And that's not the way that is usually most cost effective to do that sort of thing. So that's sort of where I am. I agree. I'm like, this is really expensive. And I looked and I tried to find ways, to save some money. And I spent time looking at the blueprints and I spent time talking to the sewage treatment workers. And the more I looked at it, the more I was like, oh, now I get it. This is a really complicated project, and it needs to be. It's not just a frivolous, we need to build this. Yeah, we did buy the dewaterer probably before the building was built, but it was all part of the plan from the beginning. We just got out of it.
I think there are also a lot of mandated DEP, state, federal rules and stuff that we ultimately have to live by. I mean, we can't run a sewer plant without certain, it has to run against certain parameters. And again, if you just don't keep up with this stuff, you get letters and fines and other stuff. And this is certainly, it ain't the whole shebang here from dollars and cents, because there's an awful lot of this that has to do with ultimately us keeping up with mandates that are required, again, safety and pollution and all of that. Again, it's another one of these situations where all of us have been in at some point. You're damned if you do, damned don't. And I just, as Peter said, I was just plain taken aback when we got the bids in. I sat there when they got open, but we figured 560,000 to 710,000 or something on the worst end of things. It wasn't anything under $1 million. I mean, it was all $1 million, $2 million.
This was the lower bid.
And he's, as David stated, he's held his bid. He could have tossed it in. He said, no, if you get the funding out, we've got it. Again, if you do, and we try to have to proceed.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more discussion or questions? Rick? Yeah. What's that?
Can I have a second?
Sure.
I think Peter described the wastewater treatment plant as I picked it, which is total chaos. And we need to get it under control. We need to have some sort of plan, because you don't put a boat out for a $250,000 machine knowing that there's going to be a building needed to be built, and you get the machine before you have the funding to build the building. That's not proper. That's not how you do business. If the boat for this building gets turned down, then we have a machine sitting there totally worthless. There's something wrong. You need a plan, a good plan to go forward. And there are people like me that are stuck on this town sewer. The first thing I did when I bought my house in 1983 was ask if I could put a septic system in out back, because I wanted no part of the town sewer. And I was told I could probably do that if I could meet state requirements, but I would still be required to pay a monthly, not the user fee, but the monthly fee for the sewer if the sewer passes by your house. So that law should be changed to allow people to get off this dinosaur if we could. The second part of that is this meeting tonight is totally wrong. To have a meeting where you're going to vote to spend $2,100,000 or something like that, over $2 million, and it's going to be voted on by maybe 10 people, you count the 5 selectmen, there might be 10 people voting on this. That's wrong. That's not how a town should operate. This should have been brought up for the June town meeting, where you're going to get input from everyone. And of course, I think users should have more input, because they're the ones going to be stuck paying this $2 million. So I sure hope we can vote this down.
Thank you. Did you want to have a follow-on?
I just want to follow up. The trailer was purchased what it was because it's available and you can buy it at $120,000, not $250,000. And if we did purchase it when they did, we would have not been able to purchase it at that price. It's a new machine that's so that's why it was purchased.
I think the thought of a building down here, again, has been ongoing for quite a while. And when we started talking about it and kind of got serious about it, all of a sudden you couldn't put it anywhere. It simply, did chest borings, did this, and did that, and can't go here, and can't go there. And that complicated, added to the cost of everything. The garage has been on the books for a long time.
Drive the engineering cost up to foundation for where the building's going now, and to put it somewhere else on the property would have been astronomical fee, because none of the soils are suitable to support a building, except for where one of our old tanks are now, just for the year, and that's what it is. So, saving us money to put it there versus somewhere else on the property.
I may have stated it too, Rick. I The longer I stay in Bethel, the more I seem to mistake things. So I'm looking forward to another retirement, but I think that they thought they had money for the building. I think when it went out to bid, it was when they realized they didn't have enough money to build the building. There was kind of an avalanche of things that went wrong that I'm not sure anyone would have foreseen. The fact that they couldn't locate the building because of the testing. They thought they had money for the whole thing, and then after I got here, rural development pulled the grant money, and you add up all those, a year ago, they thought they were good to go, and here we are a year later, and we're sitting here through a comedy of things that went poorly, asking for more money. And the reason, as I tried to say earlier, is everybody knows it's wrong, but if you wait, you're going to miss the construction season and have to put this back out to bid again. And the way things are going, that may not be in the town's best interest, that's all. I think in the spirit of rightness, we'd all like to be right and do the right thing. It's just that we're afraid that if we do that, it's going to cost more money. And the redesign and the rebid certainly will cost, not small change, but, thousands and thousands of dollars. But then what we hear about the bids coming in for other projects around, they're just going up a lot right now. So, and it's not a project really that ought to wait much longer because of the safety factors and because the machine sits out and not getting used. Would I have been in favor of buying a machine at that time? I don't know, I wasn't here, but the truth of it is we've got the machine now. And it is functional, and Bethel should be using it if they got it.
And to put in a little bit of perspective too, what David was saying about rural development. Some 7 odd years we've been working at this. And for 7 years we've heard, to put it quite simply, virtually no problem. We've reviewed, you've got the money. We've reviewed, 3 years later we've reviewed, you've got the money. 4 years later we've reviewed. It came down to David, town office called me and said, "You have taken this up all no, I don't. We gotta get in touch with you. Rural development needs to talk to him before 5 o'clock this afternoon." And guess what? They come through with, "Yeah, we looked at this for 7 years, but we missed something and you don't have the money." True story. So, here we are.
I don't think Bethel's hiring me back.
I was just wondering how the other 2 selectmen felt about this. I could pretty much know how Don and Peter feel about it.
Well, we approved the building last year, if I remember right. I was like, when it happened. And I know rural development goes to grant, so we need to do something. We can't have the workers working in the conditions they're working in. It's unsafe. It's impractical. And we've got the machine, we need to have the building. You know what?
We approved the project at last time meeting. Unfortunately, we didn't want to hire, and we do need to fix a lot of issues now because it is unsafe. And if we do disapprove this and try to put band-aids on the situation to get us by, it's going to end up costing us a lot more than the long run. If we're talking that we want to cost 20 to 30% a year on construction costs, bidding, but quantity over rate is, you're looking at this $1.2 million project going up to $280 a year, $1.6 million, just on average. And the interest rates from working in the financial industry like I am, interest rates are climbing because we're in that kind of environment. So the bond may be 3.1 right now. A year from now, and they need 4 point something or 5 point something. Just don't know what the market's gonna do right now, so. Like I said, yes, it is a lot of money. We need to really save some down there.
Thank you. Yes?
Make a motion to move the question.
To move the question, is that seconded? Move the second, move the question, that means it calls to the vote. All those in favor of moving the question? Thank you. Any opposed? That brings us back to Article 2 and the vote. All those in favor of Article 2 as read and discussed, please indicate by raising your hand. 8, okay. Those opposed? 8 in favor, 2 opposed. The motion is carried and the job is approved. And that concludes the meeting. Yes, we can make a motion to adjourn. Accept that. Do you have a second? All those in favor of adjourning? Thank you. We are adjourned.
All right, I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the Bethel Board of Selectmen, December 10th, 2018. Thanks to everyone who came out. You're leaving, we'll miss you, but
We have every faith in you.
thank you. First order for tonight's meeting, I'd like to call citizens forum. Anyone in the town who'd like to say anything that's not on the agenda ahead of time, that would be welcome at this time. All right, hearing none, we'll move on. So first, next on the agenda, approval of minutes. I'd like a motion to approve minutes from November 5th, 2018. Second then. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, so moved. Next, I'd like to open a public hearing for a victualer's license for Bethel ME Eats, which I believe is the new food truck that is currently in the parking lot of the Steam Mill Brewing. Is it owned by them or is it independent? It's a trailer. It can move around.
No, it's not owned by Steam.
Okay. I just saw it there
They are
today.
going to be there for the winter, that's the only place.
All right. Any input from the public? Hearing none. Close this public hearing and go to the Board of Selectmen.
Yes, it is.
All those in favor? All right. You go through at the same time. I'd like to open public hearings on liquor license renewals for Butcher Burger Maine and Frank's New York Diner. Butcher Burger Maine is opening up next to the Chinese restaurant down in Lower Main Street.
And it's operated by the same person who operated La Chosa.
Right, same company as Linchosa
Yes.
from last year. And Frank's New York Diner is?
Crossroads.
Crossroads, all right. Any comment from the public? Hearing none, close this public hearing, move to the Board of Selectmen. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Okay, we need to do reappointments for the Ordinance Review Committee.
I attached, I'm not really sure what happened here. You have a bunch of committee appointments.
You all.
I'm not familiar with Bethel's systems, and I was asked to make sure that the ordinance committee would get reappointed, so I did that.
Well, the ordinance, we can reappoint our select person, and then we can reappoint the people who have applied. But if they haven't applied, we can't reappoint them.
Well said.
Right, and it looks like we have 3 one-year appointments to make for the ordinance review committee.
Yes.
And
And you have.
the only applicant we have is Dwayne Bennett.
Correct, right now, yes.
And so we need a motion to appoint, or
If
reappoint.
you want to reappoint Donnie, if he still wants to be the selectman's representation of the ordinance review, you can do that also.
So we need a motion. Donnie, do you want to be back on the ordinance review committee?
Oh, heck, yes.
So we need,
You're so good.
I'll nominate Dwayne Bennett and Charlie Bennett to be the Irish Review Committee.
all right, any discussion? All those in favor? All right. And then, motion to appoint Dwayne Bennett to the ordinance review committee?
He did it as one.
Oh, did he do both?
I made this one.
Okay, thank you, sorry. All right, great. So we're done with ordinance review committee, although we need to we probably should
Does this
convince.
show up anywhere else on the agenda?
I do not, it's on the agenda, but it's only for the
Okay.
ordinance review committee, it's number 5. But we can do all the appointments.
I also put in front of you, we received a couple more applications, if you would like to look at them.
For airport authority.
If, we had one for the budget committee and 2 for the airport authority.
Do we already have one from NOM for the airport authority?
I can't, what did you say?
Did we already have one in here from NOM for the airport authority? I thought we did.
Yes. I'm not really sure, I wasn't there the day Christie did the packets, but I think Norm applied like last July, and that's what Christie printed off. And then he came in and brought this one in the other day, so I thought you might want to look at it.
Right, we have, it looks like we have 2 potential applicants for the airport authority. So right now, well, maybe we should just go in order. So let's start with the appeals board. Currently, there's a 1 3-year and 1 2-year appointment open on the appeals board. Our only applicant is Lenny Shaw for the 3-year position. So let's just go through an alphabetical order. So,
Appoint Honey Shaw to the school board for 3 years.
second. All right, all those in favor? Okay, so appoint Lenny Shaw to the appeals board. Reappoint. All right, so now we're on the airport authority. There's 2 3-year appointments and 1 2-year appointment. We currently have 3 applicants. Arlen Jodry has applied for the 3-year appointment. Norman Clanton has applied. Has he actually applied specifically for the 2-year?
No, I don't know, Christie wrote that in.
So we can do this in any.
And
James Doherty.
the 2 incumbents are Arlen and James, and they have both applied. James is one of the ones that's in
Oh, I
front of
see.
you.
Right.
And then Norman applied also.
So it seems like we have 3 vacancies and 3 applicants.
So why don't we make a motion to reappoint William James Doherty to the 2 3-year terms of the airport authority and NOM to the 1 2-year term.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor? All right, so Arlen Jodry and James Doherty to the 3-year positions and Norman Clanton to the 2-year position. All right, so we have lots of opening on the Bethel Rec Board, but doesn't look like any applicants.
We don't have any applicants yet.
All right, we'll work on that. Bingham Forest Advisory, we have 2 3-year openings. We have 1 applicant, and that's Brent Angeline. All those in favor? Okay. And then, so next we're on the Budget Committee. We currently have 4 3-year openings on the Budget Committee. We have 3 applicants, David Crockett, Bob Everett, and Mike Jodry.
Plus I put Clark's in front of you.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Clark Reiner is also
Yes.
applied. So we have 4 openings and 4 candidates.
Make a motion that we appoint the 4 microwave department to the collection committee.
Second that.
All those in favor? we come to the Conservation Committee. We have several openings there and no applicants up, so. All right, well, we'll just move on from there. Ordinance review we've done. Planning board, we have three-year openings. We have 2 applicants, Dwayne Bennett and Patricia McCarthy.
We appoint Wayne Bennett and Patricia McCarthy to the planning board for the 3-year term.
Second.
I'll second that.
And all those in favor? And finally, we have 1 3-year opening to the for the Water District trustee. We have 1 applicant, Brent Langevine, who's also an incumbent.
Make a motion that we appoint Frank Langevine to the water trustee for 3 years.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? All right. Thank you. That's the committee appointments. Yeah, we did that first, out of order. All right. So, items for discussion and possible action. Don't we usually discuss tax abatements in executive session?
There's no legal reason that I can think of why you would, unless it was a poverty tax abatement.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. I think he's, among other, maybe more importantly, he's looking for it to go back to being just 1 lot and not being a subdivision.
This is being taxed, so.
Yeah, he's being taxed on 8 properties. And now he wants to just be taxed on it being a 17.5 acre woodlot.
Woodlot versus putting it into.
We, being an assessor, we looked at this, and I confess I'm gonna say I don't remember what the hell it was.
I asked Bill Van Tynen for advice because I had not dealt with anything exactly like this in my past. And there's a letter that you should have from Bill that discusses what you should do and why, and there's references as to the reasons. And to make a long story short, Bill is in agreement that the board should do the abatement that he recommends.
So what's the, that makes sense, what's the current, now that it's gone back to being just an individual lot, what's the valuation on the lot? Is it $206,500, or is that the valuation?
I don't know,
No,
but it got billed as a subdivision for FY19. And we abated the subdivision lots and all but 1, which I'm assuming, according to Sarah, is going to be his 1 parcel. But we have not actually billed him for the 1 large parcel as of yet. So I don't know what the valuation is. But he did get abatements for the 8 lots for FY19.
So he's looking for 17 and 18 only,
Great. Well, actually, I think he was looking for more than that, but yes.
all the way back to 15.
Yeah, but Bill is suggesting just 17 and 18.
The last two sentences in Bill's letter, I think, summarize what your action would be, unless you'd like to put more study into it. But I trust Bill, and he did study it at some length, and this is what he agrees the abatement should be.
This refreshes my memory as well.
All right. Someone like to make a motion on abatement for fiscal year 17 and 18, $2,254.50 per year. Any further question or discussion? All those in favor? Moves us to report of the town clerk.
Did you put the 6-month meeting schedule?
Yes.
That's all I made the schedule, and usually the manager does, but he made it up this time just because I'm David's favorite.
David's favorite clerk at the moment.
Yes. You never know in the future, it might change. But that's all I have if you want to vote for the 6-month meeting schedule. And I just did the first Monday.
We're doing the second, the first.
Well, we're usually first and third. That's what we always were. And then for some reason, Christine just randomly picked days.
That's all been on the board, it's always been the second Monday.
I've been first and third since I've been here, except for Christine.
I would just offer an opinion which you didn't solicit and you certainly won't have me to listen to, but I think there are going to be times in the coming few months when one meeting a month might not be adequate. And I suppose you could add those when you find that to be the case. I do agree with you that in the time that I've been up here, it has mostly been the second Monday.
I know from my, I'm disagreeing, but I do know when I came on the board, going on for 7 years now, we've always done either the first or
Well, we
second.
met two times a month. It was the first and third.
Yeah,
Right, Reggie?
that was part of my time being on the board.
And then I think halfway through Jim's time, we changed it to once a month, and then it was just random dates.
It was the same time you voted to raise and pay for yourself.
Not for me.
No, for them, not you.
I didn't know. But you can change these dates any way you want.
Great
These are
idea,
your
though. Why
dates.
not?
You can do whatever you want with them.
Yeah, can we have a motion on these dates?
Sorry.
I'll make a motion to accept the
Second.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Any questions, discussions, changes?
Well, the obvious caveat, if we need to do something different, we do something different.
Right. All right, all those in favor? Great.
And you're going to see that that gets posted on the webpage so citizens
Yes,
know.
I will give it to Christie.
Thanks.
All right, anything more from the town clerk?
I think, the other thing, did you put the NIMS? Mike Jodry came in the other day and said that we approved this a while back, but they cannot find a signed copy from us. I wanted to know if the board would be willing to sign another one.
Sure.
I don't know what happened. It wasn't us, Oxford County doesn't have a signed copy from us. So,
Can't do that.
these two things need to be signed. That's all I have. Thank you. That did not come with a sign-in sheet that I noticed while we were sitting here this evening, so I quickly wrote one out.
Yeah,
Yeah, with the license,
just the one.
yes.
All right, which moves us to report of the town manager, things the board needs to know.
Well, there have been two big things to me in the time I've been here, and that is, one was the sewer project, and the other is, I'm concerned that the financial system needs an upgrade. Bethel has an auditor that they've had for a couple of years and a bookkeeper that they've had for one. And the transition to that system has left the town in non-compliance with a few things. And in your last audit, the current auditor had a long list of findings. And the finding is something that's a standard term, and it means things that the auditor finds that are either inadvisable or not in compliance with auditing standards or the law. And Bethel, nowadays it's very difficult for small towns like Bethel, like Norway, to comply with everything, because those standards are written for much bigger places where they have a lot more staff to make sure that they divide up all the functions. And it's really difficult in a town like Bethel to make sure that the bookkeeper never goes to the front counter and touches any money, because if somebody has the flu and somebody's on vacation, you can't just tell the good taxpayers that you're not going to take their money today. So I think there'll always be a few things that will be findings, but I think Bethel has way too many. And I think your current bookkeeper is a great person for that job, and I support her in what she's attempting to do. But I think the town needs to stand behind her and work with her to get some training so that she gets the help that she needs. And I also think that the current auditor is not a good fit for where the town is right this minute. I think the bookkeeper needs someone that she can work with and learn from, and the style of this current auditor is not necessarily to do that. And the few times we've tried to get additional help from him, the additional costs have been quite amazing to me. High extra costs to do things above and beyond the things that he thinks should be in an audit. So I think the current agreement with the auditor should be ended. Probably if I'm here, I or whoever you hire should talk to the auditor about getting out of the third year of your 3-year commitment and find a new auditor that understands Bethel's situation and will help with training and come out on the other end with a cleaned up audit and a better trained bookkeeper. I also approve for taking the costs of the bookkeeper going back to school and getting some training online and some other classes, and to pay for that out of the manager's expense account. I haven't spent any expense account money in the time that I've been here, and the previous manager had anticipated using a lot more money. So certainly that money is available, and it would be a good, an appropriate cause for the town, I think, to help the bookkeeper develop her skills. And I think in the long run, 2 or 3 years down the road, you'll look back at this and be happy and proud of the investment that you're making. Additionally, the town manager is supposed to create a financial control system, and that had not gotten done. And I came up with a draft for that, and I've been asking Kristen and Amy to help me refine that. We went down to Norway and got some help from staff down there and saw how they do some things, and Bethel's different. Bethel's a different place. They may do things a little differently, but the procedures and the way that things should be done needs to be written down, and that needs to be submitted to you for approval and then to the auditor. The draft is done. Kristen and Amy will finish it, and then that draft will be submitted to you, but at the same time given to the auditor, so we can get that one big step out of the way and maybe get an auditor out of the current person. I wouldn't fire the auditor until we get the audit. That's the wrong way to approach this, but it's getting, here we are, it's pretty near Christmas time, and the year ended June 30th, and we still don't have an audit, and it's something we should have by now. So, as Bethel moves forward, I would encourage the board to pay attention to that. And I know Amy is aware, and Kristen's aware of, you know, at least these are my feelings, and you know, I have these feelings based on real life experience down in Norway. We had to go through the same thing and make a lot of changes, and it was difficult. But I think when you get through on the other side, it's good for all concerned. Citizens of Bethel have a right to know that their audit is completed in a timely manner and be able to look at it and have it done in a way that's in compliance with the standard way.
Taking that on.
There's been so many things going on that I didn't know what was happening. It at least gave me a chance to do something I had at least some experience with. Well, a few months ago, a couple months maybe, the water district submitted to you an agreement to transfer some property, and the water district has approved it. And they gave it to us, and it looked good to you at the meeting, but your direction to me was to give it to the town solicitor for review. And she did, and she did review, and she gave it back, and she had made red marks on it. But none of the red marks made any sense to me. They didn't change the meaning, or I was going to try to convert her red marks into a new document that I could give to you for your signatures and give it back to the water district. And then I said, this is just silly. Let's just sign the one that the water district gave us, because the town is not in any way injured, or there's nothing in that document that was submitted to us that is not exactly what we intended. And so my recommendation to you is that we'll put that document out down at the town office, and when you drop by, you can sign it if you're willing to do so. I intended to pass it out tonight to get that done, but I got up here to the school and realized I don't have it with me.
Is the problem with having a meeting here? All right.
I apologize, that was my fault, but I just don't know how to make any other recommendation than that. It's just silly to spin our wheels over nothing.
All right. Any other select concerns?
I understand you're meeting with a candidate for the manager's position later, and until that gets resolved with you, I'll continue to come to Bethel, and because I've met her, I will put her in the loop of what things that I'm doing, and try to develop this. In my approach, I'll pretend as if things are going to go ahead in that manner until I'm told it's not going to.
Okay. All right.
Very nicely put.
Selectmen concerns, comments, ideas, and goals. Select board. ran across one this weekend, so I had the opportunity to go snowshoeing on a piece of property that the land trust just acquired earlier this year. It's 500 acres off of the North Road, about 5+ miles out of town. And they also have an agreement with the next landowner to use that for recreational access, and through that landowner it connects directly to the Binghamton Forest. So I think it's worth our while in the very short near-term future to re-energize the Binghamton Forest Advisory Committee, to put 2 more people on that. Maybe talk to Joe again, and redevelop that, because I have a feeling that there is now access to that. Non-motorized access into that piece of property. And I'm guessing that by the end of the spring, there will be far more access into that property on the other side. I will start asking people if they want to come back. Yeah, you can see presidential. Yeah, so that's new. Or that's going to be back around. Anything else? All right, approval of disbursements. Further discussion? All those in favor? All right. Next on our agenda is a move to executive session.